Hey guys, welcome to part 3 of 4 for our team building guide, and for those of you who don't really understand how this goes, I'm just going to go over a lot of dino options that you could put on your team from, when you first start picking up this game, all the way until end game. And part 3 of 4 is because this is for local 3, and if you don't know what a local is, you can check out the spawn guide video on my channel to figure out what each local or spawn zones are and see if you are in the third spawn or local zone. So without further ado, let's get into this. So starting this game, you'll find a lot of common dinos at first, and if you start during the daytime, a Apatosaurus would be a dino that you probably would see around a lot. So it's a tank. It's slow, doesn't do too much damage, but can take a lot of hits, so we could put that on. It's a decent starting dino. And then during dawn and dusk, you could also see this dino, or not dino, this flying reptile flying around, which is Dimorphodon. It's a bleeder. Bleeder bleeds do a percentage of your opponent's HP, and that helps a lot. It could take down a lot of dinos way larger than its size, so it helps a lot if you're starting out and facing some dinos that are a bit stronger. So yeah, that's nice. And then at nighttime, you could see Velociraptors, which are very, very strong dinos because they're really fast and they have a turn 1 2x damage multiplier as well as a damage reduction. So that helps them survive despite their super low HP, but also deals out a lot of damage. And its speed is quite unparalleled in a sense. And moving on to some of local 3's local commons. So during the daytime, you could find some Allosauruses. Allosauruses do spawn in local 3. These are some tank busters that Allosaurus bites through armor and shield. One of its moves bites through shield. And you could use Allosaurus or you could use Tarbosaurus. It really depends on you. Allosaurus is a bit more consistent, as a few better matchups than Tarbosaurus. But if you really can't get Allo up to your team level, you could use Tarbo as well. They're kind of interchangeable in a sense. And moving on, another local 3 spawn, this is an anytime common spawn, is Diplodocus, or not Diplodocus, Diplodocus? Diplodocus, I think. Just Diplo, this thing. Diplo, it's a pretty nifty dino that has some tech moves. It has decent survivability, has nullifying, and, it's an okay starter dino, I'd say. Another dino you would want on your team is Triceratops Gen 2. Triceratops, unlike its other ceratopsian counterparts, actually is a huge damage powerhouse. It has a rampage, which helps it deal a lot of damage, unlike its other ceratopsian counterparts who usually they rely on stun and not damage. This one relies on damage, so if you want some extra damage, you could throw this dino in. So moving on to another global anytime common spawn, which is Ninjutsu. It's a fast dino with a 1.5 times multiplier on its ability, which also gives, for 3 turns, its normal strike ability 1.5 times multiplier, so that's good. It does have a lower HP, but it's fast and can finish off some dinos that are a bit slower than it with its decent damage. And one last comment isn't in local 3, it's in local 2, but it's a very, very strong comment, and if you do have the time or resources to go after it, or you can even, trade with your alliance mates for some Draco Gen 2, Draco Rex Gen 2. Draco Rex Gen 2 has a very strong swap and move, probably the strongest swap and move in the game, swap and shattering rampage. It has lots of combos with it. There's so many situations where you can use it. Do know that it could be nerfed in the next patch, so don't invest too much into it, but if you're starting out, it is a very strong dino. It could carry you all the way to late game. It is a end game dino. It's one of the top, I would say, top 10 dinos in the game. Yeah, it's the only problem is it doesn't really spawn in your local, so you'll have to either ask your alliance members for it or go look for it in local 2. So moving on, as you play the game, you'll find some other rare dinos, and these are a bit more rare, hence the rarity, the the categorization. And during the day, you could find Amargasauruses, which you could take out Apatosaurus. For Amargasaurus has a bit more damage, has less HP, but more damage, has Decelerating Rampage, which is a pretty decent move. It does 2 times damage while slowing, and also has another slowing move. So its moveset isn't that versatile, but you know, it does what it does well. If you want to slow something down, this thing will slow something down. And some other rares, we could use Ornithomimus. Ornithomimus, you could take out Dimorphodon for that, or any of the other dinos that we're going to talk about in a moment. Ornithomimus, super fast, has immunity, so it's not going to be affected by negative status, and hits decently hard. It also has that run ability, which you could, you know, obviously combo into Draco Gen 2, which helps a lot. And some other rares, also a global daytime rare. Global means you could find this thing anywhere, including your local 3. You could take out Allosaurus for T-Rex, Rex Gen 2. Rex Gen 2 just has a rampage that's better than Allo. I think has less HP. I think is a bit faster, or they're at the same speed. I can't remember, but you know, in general, it just has higher damage output, which is nice. That's what you want your big chompers, your tank buster to do. You want them to output a lot of damage. So moving on, let's talk about some nighttime rares. And one really strong one is Caprasuchus. You could take out Ninjutsu for that. Caprasuchus has Cleansing Impact, one of the strongest attacks in the game. However, its base damage isn't as impressive, so the damage output is kind of limited. 1000 base damage isn't that great, but turn 2 also has a Cleanse Impact, so you could use, so it has monstrous turn 2 damage. Maybe not, you know, the best turn 1 damage, but turn 2 it has a lot going for it. Postasuchus or Postasuchus, I don't really know. You could take out Diplo or Triceratops Gen 2 for that. Just for the sake of because I don't know, sake of nothing. I'm just gonna take out Triceratops Gen 2 and put in Postasuchus. Postasuchus has Ferocious Impact as well, except with a way higher base damage. It is still the highest turn 1 base damage dino, or turn 1 damage output dino in the game. It has the strongest turn 1 damage output. There's not too much else to it. It's really strong. Okay, some other local 3 rares. Tojangasaurus is really good. You could take Diplo out for that. It has Superiority Strike. It does Stego stuff. It could tank, sorta, not really. It could slow. It distracts. So you know, it has a decent kit. And moving on, let's talk about some rare hybrids. So one rare hybrid that local 3 does have access to is Diplotator. You could take Ornitho out for Diplotator, or even Capro out for Diplotator, but you know, or you could just keep your Ornitho or Diplotator. It doesn't really matter. Diplotator isn't that great, but if you do have it at a decent level, it does have more options than the those other dinos, so you could put that in. And then Sucutator is not a local 3 rare hybrid, but it is obtainable in local 4, and if you do have the time to go hunt for Sucutator materials, or have your alliance members who live in local 4 give you some, it is a very strong rare hybrid. It is probably the best rare hybrid in the game at the moment, and if we could find it, we'll throw it in. And also it's really good for strike events, so if you are, you know, if you want some free epic incubators, you need to get Sucutator. Okay, moving on. We could take out Rex or Rex Gen 2 for the Epic Rex. So we're talking about epics now. The Epic Rex is a global daytime spawn, and Ludia does events with it all the time, so it's easier to get. Well, I wouldn't say it's easy. It's not so hard to get this Rex. And moving on to some other global daytime epics. Brachiosaurus, you could take out Amarga for that. Brachiosaurus is one of the best tanks in the game. It's has a lot of HP, has armor on top of that. It has Superiority Strike, which helps it cleanse. Also has a move called Bellow, which gives it a shield plus. It decels. It just has really good matchups. It's really strong. You know, it's right up there with all the legendary tanks in the game, so it's really good. Keep it. So some other local 3. epics. We could take out Velociraptor now for this dino, if I could find it. Monolophosaurus. Monolophosaurus has a very unique, well, I wouldn't say unique because now Pyroraptor has it as well. This 2-hit combo, which is Distracting Rampage into Distracting Strike. So since the debuff is additive, so if you distract on turn 1, distract on turn 2, each turn is 50% decreased, and they last for 2 turns each. So on the second turn, you'll receive 0 damage if they don't have a ferocious buff to negate some of that damage reduction. So that's really neat. Also really fast. Turn 1, Distracting Rampage, that does a decent amount of damage, so it's a good dino to have. Moving on, we could take out a Diplodocus now for Erlikosaurus. Erlikosaurus, turn 1 Rampage, really fast, 129 speed, also has a minimal speed up strike, so we could outspeed the other 129 dinos and 130 and Velociraptor. And also has Strike and Run, which combos really well with Draco Gen 2 if you do have that. So that's a really good epic dino to have in here. And let's talk about some epic hybrids. Let's see. Local 3. We can have Postosuchus. Or not Postosuchus, the hybrid from Postosuchus, which is Postometrodon. It's really strong. And if you still have Capro and you didn't put in Sucdator, you could take out Capro for Postosuchus, or no, I keep on saying Postometrodon. It has a Ferocious Strike and a Defense Shattering Impact, so you could combo that really well. Also, I think Regeneration, which actually does really well on it at the moment. Also Immunity, so it can't be slowed or whatever, stunned, and it's decently fast, so it's a really strong dino. You could set up for maybe revenge kills, and unlike Gorgosuchus, it actually has some turn 1 defense shattering potential there. So that really helps. All the Gorgosuchus does as well, but it sacrifices a lot of damage for that. Okay, moving on to another epic hybrid, and this one it's a bit hard to get. The component for it, both its components are restricted to parks. So if you do have parks around, try getting this hybrid, which is Stegoceratops. It's one of the strongest dinos in the game. It slows, it stuns, has decent damage, it has armor, it has good HP, its speed is okay. It's a really good dino. So, moving on, we could start getting some legendaries. Those are exciting. And the first one you probably will get is Indominus Rex. Indominus Rex has a move called Cloak that doubles its next attack and also gives it 50% chance to dodge for 2 turns. So that's really strong. It also has a 2 times damage being moved. So Cloak into Rampage, that's 4 times damage with a decently high base damage. It also has immunity, high HP, but it does have really low speed. Okay. Let's find some other legendary dinos to use. We could take out Postometrodon for Triceratops. Triceratops is like an upgrade of Postometrodon. Basically, it has Defense Shattering Rampage for that impact, and also I think is now faster. I'll have to check that. Let's see. This is 124. Oh, wait, I could just find Postometrodon in here. It's 124. It's 126 or 124. Oh, they're both 124. Yeah, so there's that. And then another legendary that you can make if you're living in Local 3 is Monomimus. You could take Postosuchus out since it's probably outclassed at the moment. And, and a lot of these dinos that are hybrid materials, you should just level up them up to a certain level. I mean, you could keep on leveling them up. Obviously, a lot of people have done well with over-leveled non-hybrid dinos or legendary dinos. But if you do need to take these out at any time for some other dino, you could always take them out, like Postosuchus. I know it's been here for a while, and by now your team average should be around like level 15 to 16, and at level 10 it just doesn't hold up, so you could just take this thing out earlier if you wanted for Sucdator or some other out of zone hybrid that's decently strong. And here you could take out Postosuchus for Monomimus, if I can find it. I think I have one. Yeah, here's one. So there's that, and another Monolophosaurus hybrid. Monolophosaurus hybrids are all really good. Is Monostegatops. Monostegatops, you can use it it's the Stegoceratops plus Monolophosaurus hybrid. You could put it in for Stegoceratops, or you could keep Stegoceratops. Both are, I'd say, equally good. I'd give Stegocera a slight edge over Monostegotops, but if you do need a nullifying dino on your team, Monostegotops is a good dino, although you already have Monomimus here, but it's still a really decently strong dino. So, moving on, we can have, we need probably one more tank. We could take out Monolophosaurus out for a tank, since we do have enough speedy dinos. We got, Erlich and Trios and Monomimus. So we could take this thing out, and it's probably at a stagnant level for a tank. There's a lot of tanks you could choose from. Stegodius, Tragodistus, Alankylosaurus, Megalosuchus, if you could find them. These are all out of your local, though, so it's going to be a bit hard for you to get, but you definitely would want a second tank. Although, Stegoceratops could serve that role, but, it's more of an off-tank, and it is a control slow stunning dino instead of a dedicated tank, like, say, Stegodius is, or Gigaspica. So you probably would want one of those, and if you really can't get one, it's fine. Stegocera could do that job as well. You could even run both Stegocera and Monostegotops on your team, and that's, that gives you some bulkiness on your team. So let's also take this Erlico out at this time. These two legendaries are also out of zone legendaries, but they're all really, really strong. It's Utah Sino and Diloranosaurus. Try to get at least one of them. I know it's really hard. Like for local 3, some really necessary endgame dinos are a bit out of reach for local 3 players, so you'll have to venture into some other locals to, work hard and get a few of these. And if you are gonna, put some effort into getting some legendaries, Dilorana and Utah Sino are definitely the way to go. Although Utah Sino's hybrid might potentially get a nerf in the next patch. It's not confirmed at all, so you might want to favor Dilorano over that. But Utah Sino, again, by itself is a really, really, really strong dino. So yeah, you could put that in. And you can have this team. This would take you to what? Easily like late Storm Marshes, early Jurassic Ruins even. I don't really know what the meta is at Jurassic Ruins at the moment though, but it's a pretty solid team. And then now you could start getting some uniques, and your first unique is probably Indoraptor, since its components are globally found, and they're not that limited. So you could get Indoraptor. Indoraptor is really, really strong, one of the best dinos in the game, can win every matchup in the game it faces against 1v1. It has a chance to win them, and usually a really good chance. So Indoraptor is a good one. And another really, really strong unique dino that Local 3 has an advantage over the other locals to obtain is Erlodominus. Erlodom, if Draco Gen 2 you can't keep it up with your team level, or you don't want to invest coins into it because, it could it very likely will get nerfed in the next patch and you don't want to keep wasting coins on it, you could take that out for Erlodom. And I personally don't have Erlodom at the moment, so I'm just going to put in Erlichosaurus for that. And some other uniques, like Local 3 it's kind of barren on uniques, so we'll just have to take uniques from other locals as well. So we could have Dilorachirus for Utah Sino, or Dilorano, or you could use Utah Renex. It really depends on which one you went for, which one you have more of. Obviously, if you have resources for both, both can be put on a team. They are both really, really strong teams, and if you have both, you probably should put them on your team, Utah Renex and Dilorachirus. They're all really strong, and yeah, this seems like a decent endgame team. So you got your two tanks, Brachy, Stegod, / Monostego / Stragod / Elanky, or / whatever else tanks you got. And yeah, these are, and you got your Indo here. The only thing Local 3 is lacking is a really decent big chomper, and this is like post end game for Local 3, since Local 3 does have trouble getting certain pretty crucial hybrids like Triceratops, Dilorachirus, Indominus Rex, like even Thorodolls, those are the three big chompers. And you probably would want to invest in one, although you do have Triceratops here, which is still really good, but you could definitely do better. And if you do have the resources, go invest in a Triceratops or Indominus Rex, and you could, take Triceratops out. You could take maybe Diplodocus out if it's really hard for you to level it and you just can't keep up. And if you are going for Trico, you could maybe even sacrifice a tank for that. You could maybe take out a tank for Triceratops, since Triceratops has tank stats, and that's really good. And also another kind of local 3 unique is Brachiosaurus, and that one works okay-ish. It does have its niche uses. It is a counterattacker, so you could take out your opponents unexpectedly, and it can tank a few hits, but it has a really limited role, but it is a decent dino nonetheless. That's also another dino you could throw in here. And obviously the other tanks, Gripolith, Megalosuchus, Dioraja, Alankylos, Tragodistus, all of those, you could throw those in there as well. Spondylodocus is another very, very strong dino. You can have that instead of one of your other faster hitting dinos. So yeah, that's all you got for local 3. Local 3 is, it used to be a worse local. Believe me, it used to be worse. It got a bit better since the Indominus buff is really, really good, and the Monostegotops buff helps a lot as well. So you do have a lot of options in local 3. A lot of people say local 3 is the worst local. I don't think so. It could be a bit worse, but it still has its potential. You could still do stuff. It's not like most players are just confounded to one area. You could also move around and get some, and local 3 still has a lot of stuff that other locals don't have. For example, access to Erlodom and Monostegotops, if you are interested in that. So yeah, local 3, you probably have to do a bit more work than the other locals. And when I say other locals, I mainly mean local 1 and 2. But yeah, you could still build a decent team with this. So, and also you do have a better early game than the other locals, in a sense. So it's not too bad. It's not too bad. But anyways, that's it for this part. Remember, you don't have to 100% just do what I just did. There are a lot of other factors that aren't taken into account. For example, you could get DNA from strike towers, from weekly featured dinos and event dinos. If you buy incubators, although I probably wouldn't suggest that. If you move around a lot, you go in between a lot of locals, your team would obviously have a different progression route as this, but this is just a general idea for those of you who are having trouble. So yeah, this is part 3, and there's one more local left, local 4, and I'll have that maybe up tomorrow or Sunday. It depends on my schedule, but hopefully I'll have that one up soon. And thank you guys for watching. Subscribe if you're new, and stay tuned for more videos.